What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Hippo Supercoach, and today we're going to be going over what I think will be the top 6 defenders in 2023. Now, there's always some surprises here and there, like Jack Sinclair last year in Sicily, but I think I'm pretty safe with these guys being top 6. Now, number 6 is going to confuse you, and you guys are going to be like, this guy's an idiot, probably turn off the video, but hear me out. So, number 6, I think is going to be Jeremy McGovern. Now, he is playing intercept. They've looked to free him up, and one poor stat against him is he's never averaged above 90, I believe, and he's had quite a long career, and he's a little bit injury prone, and he's getting older, but I think the role is quite clearly there. We've seen Jack Zeeble at an old age change his role. Obviously, he was on the complete other end of the ground, but we've seen him play that intercept role and absolutely raking the points. I think he averaged like 110 until Hall came back or something, or 115 until Hall came back as a 200k player. So we know it is possible for older guys even older guys who aren't the most durable, to have a sudden revival of their career. And I think McGovern doesn't need that, but his slight tweak of his role, where he's not going to be playing one-on-one too much, he's going to be that third man up. I think he can average 105 to 110. And I just like the upside, and only 1% or 2% ownership now. He was 1 when I looked yesterday, and I really like the price. So yeah, a game I watched very, very closely was West Coast, and I was literally pausing when West Coast would go, when Adelaide would go inside 50, and he looked really good. The position where he was looked really good. He obviously reads the ball quite well. I think he's a great kick. He's obviously a great mark. And yeah, I just think this role is perfect for him, scoring wise. He's proven that he scored 144 against Adelaide. So teams that Adelaide's a terrible team, and they made West Coast look like a reserves team. So, well, I'm not going to say Adelaide's a terrible team. I think they're actually going to be good, relatively good this year. They're not going to be top 8, but they'll be better. But yeah, they made West Coast look like a reserves team. So I think McGovern's pretty safe. But yeah, you guys probably think I'm crazy. Anyway, moving on. Number 5, I have Jack Sinclair. Now, he would be higher. I think the tag threat is quite high for him, and he didn't look amazing in the second practice. I thought he looked quite good in the first, but the second one he looked a bit lost, and I think CBAs for him is not a good thing. I think he's better on the back line and attacking from, hitting that stoppage from the back line, I think is his best role. Yeah, I just think we'll get him a lot cheaper, so he's not someone you would start with, in my opinion. I don't think he's really going to explode, but we've seen last year that he is capable, and the role is decent again. We were a bit worried about that with Ross Lyon, but yeah, it looks like a pretty similar role, but yeah, I just don't think he would be quite as good as last year. Yeah, more attention. Teams seem to be tagging half backers more. And I think, yeah, he's the one to go to if they're going to tag St Kilda. So I don't think you'll tag Steele. He's too inside, too contested. There's not a lot you can do. You could maybe stop his outside game, but he's still going to hurt you on the inside. So yeah, Sinclair's probably number 5 for me. So number 4, I have Tom Stewart, and I have him averaging in the 105 to 115 range. So Sinclair I had averaging in the 100 to 115 range. But yeah, so Tom Stewart, if you haven't seen my trap video, I think he is not the best starting pick, just because he's got those two teams in the first 6 games where I expect him to be quite hardly tagged. And it's not something I'd like to have for 604k. I think there's better options. Yeah, he's also a tag target a bit. I don't think there's any midfielders at Geelong that you would tag over him. And yeah, I just think he's still going to be up there, no doubt about it. There's plenty of upside to him. Obviously, he takes most of the kick-ins, and he's a stat pad. They look to use him going out to exit deep 50. So yeah, he's definitely going to be top 6 in my opinion. But yeah, I have him at number 4. Number 3, I have Jordan Dawson. Now, the reason I would put Dawson ahead of Stewart is I think Dawson will have a better kicking ratio than Stewart, and I also think he'll get more opportunity than Stewart. So Geelong being one of the better teams, just logically, the ball's going to be in their backline less than it would in a team like Adelaide, who are maybe not a bottom 4 team, but they're definitely not a top 8 team, like I said. Well, not that we think, but yeah, I think Dawson will get more opportunity, and I think he's a little bit underpriced for how good he can be. The first few games he was playing sort of all over the place. It wasn't until, I'm not sure which round, but there was a couple of rounds in where he actually got that defender role. So, yeah, I think he can average in the 110 to 115 kind of range. Don't see him going much lower than that. He can be tagged, and they probably will tag him. But he gets kick-ins, and pretty much all of them. So, he's a safe pick. Number 2, I have James Sicily, and sorry guys, I haven't been adding these guys. So, we got McGovern, Sinclair, Stewart, and then Dawson. Yep. And then we have Sicily. So, Sicily is above these other two because I don't think any team will tag him. I don't think he has a tag threat at all. I could be wrong, but from memory last year, he did not get any attention by any team. And I think that's what would separate these 3 guys in average, because these guys will play, even if it's just Hawthorn and Sydney, that tag, which are the main ones we expect, which will be Ryan Clark and Finn McGuinness. Even if it's just those two, say Stewart and Sicily play him even just once, Stewart and Dawson play him even just once, I think those guys will probably keep him to maybe under an 80 score for those games, whereas Sicily will probably have 100 that week, and that will give him the boost over those guys. Sicily's price I don't love as a starting pick, but I think he is safe. Now, there's one kind of flaw about Sicily, and that's probably he doesn't get the same kick-ins, or it seems like he's not going to get the same kick-ins, or the same amount of kick-ins as Stewart and Dawson will this year. I think Bramble was taking a few, and Hardwick. So maybe just trialling. I know Hardwick took him before Sicily came back, but yeah, I think Sicily, the role he plays, he's playing what I think McGovern will play this year, and it's just that intercept role. He's not really accountable for anyone. He looked pretty terrible, I'm not going to lie, in the second practice match, but he still ended up turning up, I believe. So if he can turn up in a bad game, I think that sort of shows what Sicily can do and what he's capable of. So I have him at number 2. And then number 1, I might be a little bit biased as a Carlton fan, but I have Sam Doherty. And I think there is a lot of upside with this pick. So it's his first season since having cancer, and I think he did his ACL. Maybe even twice did his ACL. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's his first season, or he's had a full season is what I'm trying to say. And he is, I just think his body's really good. He looked fit in the second practice match. The first one he looked a bit, he didn't look bad, but he didn't look amazing. I think No Williams only helps him, and that midfield split looks pretty good to me. I think he's proven in the back half of last year, in the last few rounds, that he is capable of scoring at CBAs and getting clearances. And even if he doesn't play in that midfield, he just comes straight into the mid after starting at half back. So yeah, Doherty is one that I would expect to maybe get tagged. He didn't get any attention last year, but he definitely could this year. I think they would still rather go to like a Walsh or a Cripps. I don't think teams value Doherty that highly, which is good for him. And that's why I think he can go 115 plus this year quite comfortably in this role. I just don't think teams will tag him. He definitely could. But I think, like I said, Walsh is the one guy they would go to because he's probably the most damaging. So your McGuinnesses and Ryan Clarks, where they would go to a Stewart, they would go to a Walsh, and like a Bruin or something instead. And that's basically what Doherty has to deal with. So yeah, these are my top 6 defenders. I'd love to know everyone else's in the correct order. So if you are still watching this point, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know which defenders you think will be that top 6. And it's pretty bland, as you guys can see. If you look on the right side of the screen, I've just got literally 5 of the top 6. I haven't gone really too crazy with any picks, but you know what? These are the guys I think are going to be there. And you might think Cumming or Ridley, I'm not going to say they're traps, but I just don't think they're going to be in that bracket. I don't think either of Cumming or Ridley's role, whilst they played well in the practice match, I don't think either of those guys' roles have changed too much compared to last year. Now, Cumming obviously doesn't have Himmelberg, which is a good sign, and Ridley, it looks like the game style is going to free him up a little bit, but he doesn't have 100% of the kick-ins, which he did when he exploded onto the scene, I think in 2020 or 20, I don't know, it was around 2020 anyway. All the years are blending in at this point. And Nick Dacos is one that probably just going to get so much attention, it seems. So, yeah, he's one I wouldn't start with. So, yeah, I just think the ones I have right now, they're safe. They're very, very safe picks, barring McGovern, who's a bit riskier, just because he hasn't shown anything. But, yeah, that's my top 6 defenders for 2023. It'll be interesting to revisit this video at the end of the year or even at the preseason next year and just see what I get right and what I get wrong. Obviously, last year, like I said, we had Sicily and Hewitt just jump out of absolutely nowhere. Sicily kind of predicted could have maybe go top 8, top 6. But, yeah, Hewitt was absolutely insane. So, yeah, thank you for watching. And the next thing we will talk about are the forwards. So, stay tuned for that.